Echoes of Wisdom is less than 2 months away. How awesome is that? Trailer drops are quick. It's only been a few weeks since the last one, and in this video we're gonna deep dive what Hyrule is gonna look like and who do we find there. So let's get going. So we're starting off with an empty map. This makes sense because it's a new game. I wonder if Tingle is gonna be the one who's gonna give parts of the map. Next what we see is a familiar Hyrule. This is the Hyrule based on A Link to the Past. And as this was also heavily featured in the last trailer, this is clearly them telling us, hey, this is the world that we're working in. Yeah, which stretches from all the way in the west where you have the Eldin Dead Mountain, the Volcano, all the way to the right side where you have the Cold Mountains, probably with a spectacle rock. There's not a whole lot around it. So those big mountains in the middle is probably a natural border. Now we could see a little bit more on the front side of the map, because remember Zelda is standing on that part, but maybe that was just for the trailer. Next we see Castle Town, which is a little bit reminiscent of Ocarina of Time, and it's the first time we see it this lively in a 2D Zelda game, although there's no market like the Minish Gap had. What we do see, however, is a return of the Triforce, which is fantastic. And at that same fountain, we also see some people talking. Now in past games, sometimes these people give you hints, or maybe they're gossiping. And we see the soldier guarding one of the rifts or voids. For the rest, it seems like people are moving on with their daily life. Next we see the Gerudo Desert, which is going to be probably in the southern western map. Those cactuses remind us of A Link to the Past. And before we move on, in the corner there's also some kind of red bug. Maybe it's like Twilight Princess, you have to collect them, or maybe it's just a small enemy. Maybe you put them in little soil gaps. Different options there, but it seems to be a bug. Then we get a sandstorm, which reminds us of course of Breath of the Wild and the Champion era. Zelda is clearly very warm. I love the animation. Super Mario Wonder had some of that, and now Zelda is also getting that charm. It could probably imply that she's wearing the wrong clothes, but we'll get to that in a minute. Next we see Gerudo Town. There's a little cat sitting on the roof, reminds me of Minish Cap, very cute. There's also a bird sitting on what appears to be some pot with a lid on it. There might be something inside. There's also like a wooden ramp between the two buildings, which could imply that in some towns and areas you won't be able to use your echoes. Could be. Next we see probably the chief hut of the Gerudo. There's another guard guarding another door. There's a little cat on the roof. And then he speaks about mysterious ruins. Is there something appearing to come out of this pot? Not sure. And then we come to probably my favorite part of this trailer, how to scare the out of a Gerudo. When you place an echo, NPCs will likely respond in you. We can see that here, so much charm. And of course this area is heavily inspired by Breath of the Wild. There's even like a merchant sitting over there who appears to be selling some hearty durian. It might be a hydromelon, but I think that's a durian. Then in this other corner there's another fruit. It seems that resource gathering is now a staple of the Zelda series, even appearing in top-down games. This was first introduced in Wind Waker, then expanded upon with Skyward Sword. Personally, I think it's fantastic. I hope you guys also like it. Now, next we go to the water area. Nothing special to mention here other than that this Tektite doesn't blink its eye. And then this part is much more interesting, an underwater tunnel or cave where we can enter, which implies deep diving. Maybe there's an Iron Boots concept, but I think we're gonna swim, at least that's what I hope. The last time we did that was in Majora's Mask. This Zora looks great. This is a sea Zora, and here we have a river Zora who is friendly. They also point that out because it's the first time. We're also in their village that has an item shop. There's some kind of lute or oud musical instruments. It seems they're expanding on the lore here. And we're gonna go back to catching fish. We see two different types here. We also see river Zoras in different patterns, sizes, and colors. It's nice that they're getting so much love and unique design. Music is also back. That is amazing. We see maracas and some kind of bugle or musical horn. Now, music is super important to the Zelda franchise. So many memorable tunes. I actually created a few AI remixes this week. Be sure to check them out. And if you haven't yet, subscribe. Also, because you can hear I'm sick today, but I did want to put this out because I know people want to have an analysis. Last thing here is cooking is back, which really makes me wonder how many hours this game is gonna run to completion, because there is a lot of things to do. In the next shot we see a Sonic looking spiky Zora. All of them are blue, but this one has a unique design. He is in the potion items shop. I hope that doesn't imply that we're not gonna see maple and syrup. He is also selling some green item. some leafy greens maybe? I don't think it's a snake, was my first thought. In the water we see another sea Zora, this time light blue color. It seems they all have some kind of blue coloration when it comes to the sea Zoras. And then on the table we see a phonogram, or officially actually a phonograph, but it reminds me of Ocarina of Time, Song of Storms. Here we have a repeat clip, very likely to be one of the main quests. Next we see some Moldorm, rope, caterpillar kind of animals instead of sculptulas on the walls. That chest may have a piece of the heart. Furthermore we see some torch slugs, we see the Goron Village and what may appear to be some fire Octorok. Well, here we get the confirmation that Kakariko Village is on the foot of the mountain. It will probably be a little bit more eastern because that mountain is on the west side. So that's the little bit of expansion that we have on the Link to the Past map. In this shot we see a well, a cuckoo, some NPCs, apples, but also an orange butterfly. Now early in this video I saw a purple butterfly. So this could be the Eldin one that has fire properties. It could be used as a collectible or maybe to make potions. In this next scene we just see the entrance to Goron Village. You again see the emblem and you see a very great looking Goron. This style really does them well. And we can see here that everything has gotten a lot of attention. This Goron looks very unique, has its own design. Hopefully we're gonna see more of that. This is amazing. In the previous trailer we saw the return of the Deku merchant, but in this trailer we see the return of the Deku shrubs as a race. With their own village, this is probably also gonna be where we see the big Deku tree, which was also featured in previous trailer. They look gorgeous, they like smoothies, they seem friendly. This one looks a little bit like a Pokemon. Maybe we will see the Deku Royals back. In my previous video I said I want to see them back, well at least the whole race. That we got, but if we would get the Deku Royals that would be the crown on top. This is an interesting one. Do you see something wrong on this picture? Well, I hope you said Zelda, because Zelda is missing. So unless we are invisible, it appears that she's either the Deku shrub or something else is going on. Tri is clearly visible and there's text, so I presume this is not zoomed in. We also see some silent shrooms. We can see on this shot here that the Deku shrub have unique designs, but Zelda seems to be missing. Now this is an interesting part of the trailer. Historically, Zelda games have been made by two different teams. One for the top-down games like Phantom Hourglass or A Link Between Worlds, and the other one for the big 3D games. Think Twilight Princess, Ocarina of Time, Breath of the Wild, and of course recently, Tears of the Kingdom. However, if we look at the side quest menu, it has the same overview that you see in Breath of the Wild, so some crossbreeding is taking place. Or like this Hylian that you see, he's being bothered by a Moblin, so you probably have to save him. That's clearly Breath of the Wild influence. That's so cool. They brought the Zols back. So Zol, Buzzblub, and Choo-Choos are all kind of like slime families. But more importantly, that dog is so freaking adorable. Now, I think he's just tied to that guy, so even if you're gonna give him the Zol, he's probably not gonna give you the dog, but maybe he introduces you to another dog. Maybe you can pet them. That would be amazing. So when we speak about travel, we have to look at the map. Very interesting point here, because what we can see here is that the map is a little bit bigger, and that is on the southern side. On the southern side, we see this beach, and we also see another village, so I'm not sure what's in the right bottom corner. That would be a surprise. Or maybe it's just a great ferry. Lynx's house doesn't seem to be on the map, but I also want to leave something for exploration. Another clear thing that we see is that dungeon in the top. Not sure what it's going to be tied to, but I'm sure it's important. And it also appears that you can see the void spaces, the rifts. However, we only see 3 of them, which is interesting because obviously there's one in Kakariko Village, in Castle Town, so maybe as the game progresses, more of these rifts start to appear. One of the locations that we're not seeing here is the ranch, or the Lon Lon Ranch, or maybe the horses walk in the wild, but they need to appear somewhere. And what is great is that you even have variety in horses. This is not your only Epona, although I would love to see Epona back, but it seems that Zelda can choose the kind of horse that she wants to ride. And here we have him, the Deku merchant from Majora's Mask. In the previous trailer, I even saw like the bombfish from Twilight Princess. So I really think they went back and took something from each game, which is such a love letter to us as a community. I do need to say that I may have said an error about cooking, because this smoothie shop may imply that this is the way of cooking. And what we also see is that that seahorse is not like grace selected, nor is like the, let's say, bokoblin horn. You can still select them to cook or to make a smoothie. So I'm not sure. I mean, some people have like a shrimp cocktail, but like a seahorse drink, Not something I would have, but it seems that this is some kind of shape of cooking, and remember before that the Deco shrubs like smoothies. So a silent shroom would probably give you stealth, maybe that butterfly from before gives you protection against heat, etc. And a small quality of life improvement, the smoothies that you make, they're registered, so you don't have to remember how it's being concocted, what the ingredients are. For those who played Breath of the Wild, I myself found it so annoying that I couldn't remember anything. And some people don't like to use a walkthrough. I personally try to avoid it, so this is a great quality of life improvement. More importantly, you can see that the Zora skill, the Zora Slippers, are just like the Heartpin accessories. So they're not compulsory, you can just buy them on the shop. It's kind of odd because we're all used to this being a key item, and here you can see it just enhances the way you play. So not all accessories are going to be mandatory for sure to complete the game, or maybe not for 100%. And then we're gonna get those videos. Can you beat Zelda without the bombs, without the Zora Flippers? I'm excited already. Next, we're looking at the fashion. I have to say, Zelda looks amazing in that Gerudo outfit. And before you say just fashion, I think there's a little bit more to it. Most likely there is going to be a benefit depending on the set that you're wearing, but calling it fashion is a nice nod to Triforce Heroes, which was of course with fashion all over it. It is a very pleasant surprise to see the side-scrolling segments making their return. So when they're explaining about bind and reverse bind, you can see this section. And they had this also in Link's Awakening, the remake, but that was of course also in the original game. Maybe one day we'll even see like a remake of Zelda 2, Link's Adventure. And so many classic enemies, Lysalphos, Keys, Rope, Deku Baba, Moblins, Octorok, a lot of it is present, and I don't think we've seen everything yet. Okay, we have a phonograph, we have a windmill, we need the Song of Storms, but it doesn't look like we can enter the windmill. I really hope so though. This trailer keeps on giving. Now we have Dark Moblins. They're probably not Shadow Moblins because they move autonomously. It's a bit hard to say more about them. Maybe we'll get more about them in a future update. I do feel bad for this poor guy. He's just gonna be sucked in. Next we see some kind of counselor meeting between the chief of the Gerudo and another guy. Also hard to say something about it. I feel they're kind of warming us up for more trailers to come. I think one around the story, but maybe this is it. We're definitely gonna visit a Dark World or maybe the Rift, the Voids, and there's so much more to cover, like the Zelda poster. I think this is a throwback to A Link to the Past with the signage post, but it might now say that she kidnapped Link. There's so much more to cover. I'll be doing that on the channel, so make sure to subscribe. My name is Adventure Ruben, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye!